What is going on, guys? It's Hackstrong coming back at you with another video. Today we're back in the room, in the recording area. I'm back set up. I got a little bit more time to get the video out to you guys today, so I'm going to go ahead and record, in here, and this will probably be my usual area when I have time. Other than that, I'm going to have to record on the go. But anyways, I'm continuing the series. This will be part 2, following up from the chest, 3 best and 3 worst chest exercises in last video. Today, we are going to be going over the back. Now, a lot of you guys definitely liked the last video. You definitely liked the information that was in it, and that's good. So I'm probably going to continue this as a series and go over my 3 best and 3 worst exercises for each muscle group. Just kind of giving you guys my ideas, thoughts, and opinions. Obviously, as usual, I am not a doctor, nor am I a professional. This is just my opinion. But with all that out of the way, hopefully you guys can enjoy the video. I am going to go over, my 3 best and 3 worst back exercises. Number 1, best back exercise that I can come up with would be the lateral pull downs. We all know them, tried and true, whether that be a cable machine and you're pulling it down, or you're going ahead and you're doing some kind of a pull down, you're pulling down whatever grip you're doing. Pull downs are going to be good for, lat engagement. They're going to definitely target that back area. They're definitely going to, it's a good exercise overall to incorporate your back. Typically I would definitely point you in the direction of using an overhand grip. Your overhand grip, or if you want to, you can do a neutral grip too, but definitely prefer to stay overhand grip. Reason being, if you go underhand grip, which I do see a lot of people doing at the gym, the underhand grip, you're going to target your biceps. Your biceps are going to pull more than your back. It's okay to do underhand grip, but just keep in mind that when you're doing underhand grip, you're going to target your biceps more. Definitely, if you're trying to build your back, stick to an overhand grip. You want to keep your hands, when you're doing this exercise, you want to keep your hands slightly outside of shoulder width, so not all the way out here, but not also in here. You want them kind of slightly, like if I was to line up, I would probably be right about here. And I'm pulling down, and my hands are kind of coming a little bit outside of my shoulder width, but not crazy far, and I'm also not coming inside my shoulder. Number 2 exercise, we are going to have rows. Now, specifically, the rows that I would lean towards doing would be anything with a chest support. Any row in which I'm placing support on my chest, pressure on my chest, and I am proceeding to row, whether that be like I'm laying on an inclined bench and I'm doing dumbbells individually, together, whatever, or a T-bar row, where, if you have a gym, you might have seen this machine where you lay down flat and you kind of unrack a bar, a T-bar of some kind, and row it with your chest on this bench. The reason that I specifically would point you in the direction of doing the exercise in which you have chest support would be when you are supporting your chest, you are preventing yourself from kind of overstrenuating your lower back, and that can cause a lot of lower back issues. When you have your chest support, the only emphasis that's being placed on is your overall upper back. Your lower back gets enough work as it is when you're doing things like deadlift and whatnot. I mean, you wouldn't be able to do a deadlift without incorporating some kind of a lower back. You wouldn't be able to do a lot of back exercise without incorporating some kind of a lower back. So at the end of the day, you want to try to minimize strain on the lower back to prevent injuries. And a lot of injuries can happen when you try to do rows and you're rowing and you're rowing and you're overextending your lower back, or over-extenuating, your lower back. That can cause a lot of pain, especially if you have a lot of lumbar issues. If you're like doing a lot of exercises and you notice that you have a lot of pain in your lower lumbar, you have your cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine. If you're having a lot of issues with your lumbar area, lower back, it's probably because a lot of the exercises you're doing are putting too much strain on the lower back. I get it. We all want the Christmas tree. We all want those striations in the lower back. But at the end of the day, the best way to do that is to lose body fat percentage to expose it. It's no different than your abs. Your abs get enough work as it is. Your lower back gets enough work as it is, because they're a lot of the times the supplemental muscle to any movement. And at the end of the day, they're already going to be trained if you're training enough in the gym. So losing the body fat percentage is going to expose those muscles, and you're going to be able to see them a lot better. At the end of the day, that's all you really need for lower back and abs, is just to lose body fat percentage. For number 3 on the list, I have the pull-ups, and these can be, the reason being is these can be done anywhere. Anybody has access to something that they can hold on to long enough to perform some kind of a pull-up movement. It's easy, it's accessible to anybody, but at the end of the day, the majority of people, especially newcomers to the gym, are going to have trouble even just simply doing one pull-up. I mean, it's surprising how many people just simply can't do a pull-up. I mean, think about it. Anybody who hasn't exercised at all in their life, they're not going to be able to do a pull-up. So it's something that, a lot of people struggle with anyways. It's accessible to anybody. You could do it anywhere where you could get your hands on something long enough to hold yourself. You know, and the benefit is, if you are good at it and you're in a gym, everybody has some kind of a belt, you know, with the chain that you could link some weights to. You could do that. You could do variations like archer pull-ups. You could do muscle-ups. You could do any kind of variations to overload. So there's still progressive overload available. And at the end of the day, it's accessible to anybody. You could do pull-ups anywhere. It's accessible to everybody. It's easy to do. It's right there. It's available. Anybody can do it. There's no excuse for not doing pull-ups. As for the worst exercises, number one, I have the shrugs. And don't get me wrong, the shrugs are a good exercise for building these traps. Now, to me, I would consider the traps kind of a back muscle because they do connect at the upper back. Shoot the hate comments, I don't care. But the traps I would definitely include with kind of a mix between shoulders and back. Now, the reason I have shrugs on the worst is not because I don't think that the shrug is an effective exercise, but that a lot of the times when people are performing shrug, they're overloading the barbell with all this weight that they don't need, and then they're proceeding to barely move their shoulders. You're not activating anything, but you just want all that weight on that bar because you're shrugging all this weight and you're shrugging all this weight. Well, the fact of the matter is you're barely moving your shoulders, so you're not activating your traps at all. You're not getting the full range of motion. What you should do instead is put a reasonable amount of weight on the bar, hold the bar, let it fully drag down, bring it all the way up to the top of the rep, hold it for a second, and let it drag back down. Bouncing the weight like this ain't doing anything for you, and if anything, it's just going to end up hurting yourself. Don't get me wrong, shrugs are a good exercise, but perform them correctly if you're going to do it. On number 2 of the list for the worst back exercises, we have the hyperextensions. Now, for those of you who don't know this one, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't see a lot of people doing it at the gym, and it's probably for a good reason, but it's when you kind of lay on something and you let your legs dangle off at a 90-degree angle, and you're to proceed to lift your legs up to this and fully, you know, it's like kicking your legs back while they're straight, and it's supposed to work your lower back. Again, this brings me back to the point of you have enough tension on your lower back when you're doing other exercises. You don't need to go out of your way to target your lower back. If anything, you're just going to end up injuring yourself because your lower back is already going to be overworked. It's not something that you have to target in and of itself. If you want to see the striations in the back, again, just lose body fat. Number 3 on the list for the worst back exercises I have is the bent over lateral raises. Now, a lot of the times I see people doing this one in the gym on their back days because they'll bend over and they think, you know, oh, if I'm bent over like this and I'm pulling these weights apart, well, that has to be activating my back. Newsflash, that is activating your rear deltoids, your shoulders, the back muscle of the shoulder. Your shoulder has 3 muscles: anterior, posterior, and median deltoid. When you are doing a pull apart like that, when you're bent over lateral raising, you're not activating your back, you're not activating your traps, you're not activating your upper back. What you're doing is you're activating the posterior deltoid of your shoulder. Don't get me wrong, it's a good exercise, but it's definitely misconstrued as a back exercise rather than a shoulder exercise. Definitely prefer to lean on doing this one on a shoulder day. Don't get me wrong, the bent over lateral raises, even like the reverse pec deck fly, it's a great shoulder exercise for the posterior deltoid, but at the end of the day, it is not a back exercise. It's not going to target your back. It's not going to do anything for your back. If anything, I would just throw it onto a shoulder day instead. Lean more towards a shoulder day. With that being said, that was kind of my gist on my best and worst back exercises. Like I said, part 2 in the series. Part 1 was chest, part 2 is back. Let me know what you guys want to see next. Comment section is always open for questions. Hopefully I can keep putting out videos for you guys. I enjoy doing it. I know there's not a lot of people following along yet, but for those of you who are subscribed, thank you, and I appreciate the support. You know, at the end of the day, I am not a doctor. I'm not a professional. I'm not going to tell you how you can and cannot train. If you want to do an exercise, you are going to do that exercise. And at the end of the day, if you enjoy doing the exercises, you're more likely to do it more frequently. And if you're having more fun doing it, you're going to frequent the gym more. And at the end of the day, that's what we're looking for. It doesn't always necessarily, you don't always have to be focusing on, am I training as optimally as possible, rather than, are you enjoying training? If you're enjoying training, you're going to keep going, right? So the more often you're there, the more opportunities you have for growth, the more opportunities you have to make progress. Do what you want to do at the end of the day. Screw the science, screw best to worst. It is what it is. I can make recommendations because at the end of the day, there are better exercises than others, but just do what you want to do. With that being said, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you want to. There's always the shorter versions of these videos on my TikToks, so that'll be coming out later today. You know, if you'd like to subscribe, follow along, give me some questions, comments, concerns in the comment section. As always, stay hack strong.